This is the Refuge Project.
This is the Refuge Project. And we are back.
Yeah, we are.
I don't even remember what we used to say. Safe place, conversations.
Yeah. Meaningful conversation.
Meaningful conversations in a safe place.
Yeah.
Here we are.
Having more meaningful conversation.
More meaningful. If you don't know, we are on YouTube now. Refuge Project. Go out and check us out there. There's a lot of people that don't know. So we're trying to get the word out. You can see us, our beautiful face. You see James's, I was going to say...
his eyebrows?
Yeah, I was going to say beard, but after you do all that, eyebrow movement is...
Check it out.
check it.
See it?
All right. Oh, that's going to be...
Is that really good? That's pretty good.
That's perfect for the thumbnail.
Yeah. That's it. So that's what you're missing out on YouTube right there.
Got to see us on YouTube. Come check us out on Instagram, Refuge Project on Instagram. So do all the stuff. Like all those things. Help us get it to the top of the, the dilly-dallies,
Top of the dilly-dallies.
Yeah.
Here we come.
Whatever those things are, to help you get to the top where people can find you and all the stuff.
Dude, look at this. I've been showing black for a second there.
So
it wasn't that
So
long,
they really can't see us.
Yeah, it's okay.
We said they can see us, but they really can't.
It was just for a second.
Okay.
I fixed it.
I mean, we're getting used to this stuff. We've been out for a week.
Yeah. I just got back in last night.
Yeah. So how was it? Where'd you go?
I went to Colorado.
Heard you had a heat wave.
They had a heat wave. Everybody's got a heat wave, I think.
But Colorado's like, 75.
It's like low 90s during the hot part of the day. But, it's a different kind of 90s. It's all dry and everything.
So do y'all have air conditioners up there?
They didn't.
So they didn't or you don't?
Yes. Because
I know certain places just don't have air conditioners, right?
Well, so you can have an air conditioner,
but
most places
fan or something.
Yeah, so most places just don't have the ACs because they don't think you need them most of the time, and most of the time you don't. When it's cold, you don't need it.
Right.
And then even in most of the summertime, it's still cool at night. Like it's a little chilly at night.
Probably 50s or something at night.
Yeah, and mornings, evenings, you grab a light jacket, you feel good.
Yeah.
But during the middle of the day in the sun, it's hot. Even just middle of the day in the shade, it feels pretty okay.
Yeah. What about in the house?
In the house, so it's warm.
So what moves the air in the house? Fans?
So you just have the windows open.
Okay.
But that wasn't enough for my dad. I was needing like a dun 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 button, but I realized we don't have one.
We need to add that. That would be a good one. We need to add that one.
My sister's oldest kid, Luke, he's 8 years old. And he was on the trip with us, and that's been his thing. He'll say something, and he'll go dun dun dun, like, to emphasize his thing. That's why it's in my head. But yeah, so not cool enough for my dad, and it did get kind of warm at night. So he bought, I don't even know what you call them. I can't remember. It's like a little mini wannabe AC thing. It's a big fan. You put cold water or ice in.
Okay.
And it circulates the air.
Like a swamp cooler.
I don't know what that means.
Yeah, you're too young for swamp
and I can't remember
coolers.
the technical name for these things. Somebody out there knows what
Air
I'm talking
coolers.
About. Yeah, sure. It's a big fan that circulates cooler air in your house.
So you're just putting humidity in a non-humidity.
No, so you got to leave a window open for it to suck air in and out of.
Okay.
To fix the humidity problem.
Oh, okay.
So he did. So the first couple nights he didn't have that, and it was whatever.
And you got a full house, like all the kids are there. And
so it's a 3-bedroom place. So there's got like the main master bedroom, which my parents are in. Then there's another small bedroom that me and Tara are in. And then there's another room that they call the bunk room. And that one's got 2 different bunk beds, 2 different sets of bunk beds. And the bottom one of them is like a full-sized bed.
Right.
And I think the other one is a queen on the bottom. And the top ones are twins. Anyway, so that was Rand's family there.
Right. So you could fit 6 people in there if you need to.
Yeah, you could fit a few in there. And then
or a bunch of kids.
Or a bunch of kids, which is what they did.
Yeah.
And then the living room couch folds out. And then they had an air mattress that they set up in the living room. So that was Ben and his now fiance
All right.
Yeah.
Congratulations, Ben.
Where's the
yeah.
button?
All right.
Wah, wah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
Her and her kid were there, so they had the living room. So Haley and her kid Emma had the pull-out couch, and Ben had the air mattress, which was actually like a super nice air mattress.
Yeah, they're getting nice now.
Yeah, it was nice, and it's one of those ones, the pumps built in.
Yeah.
So you just plug it in, hit the button,
In the middle of the night, if you need a little more air.
and then when you need to get rid of them, there's no like jumping on it.
Oh,
Get the
yeah,
air out, you
reverse.
Just reverse. It's great.
The suction.
Yeah.
Yeah. Nice.
But yeah, they got engaged on the trip, so good for them.
Nice.
Congrats.
So he took her to the mountains and engaged her.
Yeah. So he tells me like the day before we're supposed to leave. He calls me up because a bunch of the family, you know how they are. They're, hey, what is he gonna do it? Is this going down? What is, all the little whispers.
So people kind of got the feeling.
Yeah. So, but he don't want to talk about it. Hey, leave me alone.
Yeah.
Mind your business, right? So he eventually, the night before we're leaving, he calls me. He's like, hey, it's going down.
Going down like Charlie Brown.
I said, oh, yeah? And he said, it's going down. And he said, so I'm telling you, just in case I need some help, like getting a loan, I'm just going to feel it out, but we need a code word or something so that if I say the code word, to like get everybody out of there or give me a second.
What do you call it in Top Gun? You're his wingman.
That's right.
Use his wingman.
That's right.
Yeah.
But I didn't really have to do anything.
So what's the code word?
Well, so he tells me, I can't remember what he told me, but it was some weird word.
That's what I was about to say.
And I said,
like nobody's gonna know.
Yeah.
Supercalifragilistic.
It was something wild. And I said, I'm down having a code word or whatever, but I don't know if that one's gonna be. I said, are you gonna be able to casually work that in a conversation? I wish I could remember what it was. And he was
Fried green tomatoes.
yeah, he was like, look at. I don't know if anybody's hungry for fried green. No, so I said, hey, instead of having a word, just have I said, me and Tara's anniversary's coming up soon, so just bring up the subject anyway, and I'll know. So, hey, isn't y'all's anniversary coming up? Hey, how long y'all been married? Anything.
Yeah.
Just bring it up, and I'll know. Which he didn't even end up doing, but he was like, yeah, I got it.
It's in the air because I have a secret I can't tell because it hasn't happened yet, but somebody else is getting engaged that we know very soon.
Who is it?
Can't say. It was a secret. It was whispered in my ear yesterday.
It's all right. We don't need to know. It'll happen whenever.
It'll happen. You'll know before we come back on Sunday.
Oh,
how about that?
This is exciting.
It actually is going to happen on the day that we release this. So Thursday you'll know.
So they've got it planned.
He's got it planned.
I like it.
Yeah. So.
But yeah, so he was like, I just need a time to be alone with her. Whenever, I'm sure we'll get a chance. We'll be up in the mountains. It'll be cool. And so the whole trip, he doesn't have a time. In fact, one of the days, it was the next to last day. He was just with her all day, but her kid's there too. And then I think my dad was taking him up some trail or something. And so I was like, he's got to do it today for sure. Like, he's doing it. And I think at some point, like the day before, he goes, hey, tomorrow it's going down.
It's going down.
I said, all right, sounds good. But then he didn't do it that day. And I was like, what's going on? And so at some point, I mentioned to Tara on the trip because I was pretty sure it was happening the next day. And I thought I might need help getting other people out of the way. I was thinking we were going to go up some trail, and I was thinking I might need her to, like, get my sister away or something. So I did I said, hey, it's going down on this trip. I don't know when or where, but I'm telling you now. So if I give you a look and say, like, hey, maybe we should go down the road or whatever,
right.
It won't be a weird thing, and you can just back me up.
Like, no, babe, let's just stay
Yeah,
here.
yeah.
Let's hang out with Ben.
No, I said let's go play at the park for a second. I was
Push me on the swings.
so I did tell her like the day before I thought it was happening. So, but yeah, so it worked out pretty perfect though, because we were driving. We're in this little town called Ouray. That's where my parents got this place, right? So that's where that's like home base for this trip, right? It's just a small little town in the mountains, lots of hiking, it's just a cool place. But there's a bunch of other small little towns all within 30 minutes, an hour, driving through the mountains. You can go do stuff in those towns. So we're driving to this other town called Silverton, and we were going to go walk around that town for the day. But on the way, there's a little camp, and we're driving through the mountains on the $1 Million Highway, if you know what that is. It's just a really scenic drive through the mountains.
So that must have been like where they done a lot of like gold mining and
yeah,
stuff.
all of that stuff. It's all mining stuff. They used to. Some of them still are operational, but most of them, it's all ghost mines, which is actually where we're headed in this story. So we're driving to this other town, and on the way to the town, my dad goes, hey, there's a campground that we're passing up on the highway, and he said, hey, there's some old ghost mines back here. We'll check them out real quick. And he's in his Jeep, because they got a Jeep now up there.
Beep in my Jeep.
And the rest of my it's me, Tara, Ben, and Haley, and my dad in the Jeep, and then my mom and everybody else is in their little Dodge. I don't remember what it's Dodge Journey or whatever it is. Not a 4-wheel drive car. And
you should have took the Subaru, bro.
I know, but we flew. Dude, everybody has a Subaru Outback. I just called him out the whole time.
Yeah.
I said, there's another one.
Very popular up there.
Both of his neighbors on each side have a Subaru Outback.
Yep.
I'll tell you what, man. Anyway, so we're going. So he goes to this campsite.
Too bad you have it in the flattest part of the world.
I know.
Houston.
It's still nice, though. When it rains, it grips the road good. It's good, dude.
All right,
Got good gas
ghost
mileage.
mines.
So we're driving through the campground. My mom's following, and nobody's got cell service, right? Because we're in the middle of the mountains. And so nobody can call and say what's going on. So she's just following.
Did you see that? No?
No.
No ghost?
Oh. So we're driving through the town, through the campsite. And at there's one last little turn where the road gets kind of crazy.
Somebody ran out in front of y'all, but nobody's seen it.
No, it has nothing to do with ghosts. So we go down this little road in the Jeep to get to the actual buildings. But my mom stops because she can't take the car.
She heard, turn around.
No.
This is not for you. Turn around.
That's not what happened.
Oh, that's not what happened?
No.
Okay.
She waits right there because she can't drive. She doesn't have
Because she was
4-wheel drive and
spooked.
stuff. Oh, man, dude, you're out of control. Out of control. Dude.
I had 3 cups of coffee and a
Yo,
soda.
we sit down here. I walk in. He goes, 3 cups of coffee and a soda, ready to go. So he's feeling it
I
today.
finally got up.
Yeah, he said, I just having trouble waking up today. So at some point you're gonna wake up, and we're not gonna be able to put you down.
All right, so your mom seen a ghost.
So she waits at the end of the
Oh
road.
wait, I'm sorry. She waits at the end of the road.
Because she can't. She doesn't have 4-wheel drive, and it's just a little round the little corner, right? So my dad takes us there, and he says, "Hey, y'all get out. I'm gonna go get them. So I'll be right back." So
That's when y'all seen the ghost.
There's no ghost involved in the
Dang
story.
it.
So me and Tara.
You're trying to trick me. There's a ghost.
There's no ghost, dude. This story is not even worth finishing anymore.
All right,
It's
no,
taken
okay,
so long.
Sorry. Go ahead.
It's gone on so long.
No, it's good. You're at the bottom of the hill.
We're at the ghost town, which is just a few old buildings.
No, you're not at the ghost town. There's no ghost.
Oh my gosh. He proposes. That's the end of the story, y'all.
I forgot we were even talking about Ben.
We're done with it. It's over. He proposed.
Okay,
She
so how'd
said
it go?
yes.
How'd it go?
I can't. It's gone on so long with nothing interesting happening.
I forgot about the
Nobody
story.
wants to hear it anymore. It's all over.
Sorry, Ben. I forgot we were even talking about you.
He's
I thought it was
engaged now, and we're look, we're clapping. That's the end of the story. He had a good time, and we did it.
Oh.
And everybody's happy for him. And we had a good trip.
Oh man.
And we got in at midnight last night, and my grandpa picked us up from the
Yeah,
airport.
he looked rough this morning.
Yeah, he was sitting
was
in the
sleepy-eyed.
he was like this. Here we go. He's sitting in the car and he's asking us questions. He's like this. He said, "How was the trip? What happened?" He's like this as we're driving back to his house.
Because he was squinting out of his good eye.
He couldn't keep them both open. He's like, "Yeah, I'm glad y'all made it back safe," which was good. I'm glad he was there.
So this is kind of a special thing, though, really, right? I mean, all you guys, all the whole family being up there at the same time.
Yeah.
You know, y'all had a tragedy in your family when your oldest brother had passed,
Yeah.
and then kind of some of his house that he had in Austin kind of helped your dad get this dream thing that he had, and all you guys were down there. So it's kind of a special thing for you guys.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
We're excited to have a place we can all go.
Yeah.
Which is cool. And that's that's one of those places where we took trips to periodically growing up, and all my older relatives all did that growing up. So my whole family's been going to that area for decades.
Hot springs.
Yeah, sitting in the pool, all that stuff.
Yeah.
And but yeah, so it was one of those places. My dad, growing up, he would always like, one of these days when I retire, I'm gonna have a place up here. And now he's retired and he has a place up there.
Awesome.
So it's pretty sweet.
Yeah. So that's kind of up in that same area that when we was talking to your grandfather, that he sent your dad like with the milkman when he was young to.
Oh yeah, that's that town.
Yeah,
I forgot about that story.
Go rescue some parts or something.
Oh yeah, hey, my dad got in trouble with the law while we were up there.
What? No, okay, yeah, you could have told me this.
I
But,
mean, it's
it's
not that bad. I oversold it.
Sorry,
with the
Ben,
headline.
but this is way more interesting than the other story.
I oversold it.
I
with
mean,
the
even
headline.
more than Ghost and
It's-
everything. Come on.
He didn't really get in trouble, but the cops did pay him a visit.
Oh, okay.
Because we were up to 4th of July, right?
Uh-huh.
And a few days after 4th of July, so like July 7th or 8th or something, where he's shooting fireworks in front of his house. And
It's a big no-no.
turns out, yeah, it's a big no-no.
Oh, so 4th of July, not only you can't sell them no more, but you can't pop them anymore.
Well, so if you're the city, they have this big thing. It's this massive event. People come from all over to check out the fireworks. It's a big deal. And so they shoot them. And they shoot them up on top of the mountain. Everybody's in the town. And it rings throughout the valley. So they goes, boom.
Oh, that's cool.
And it's pretty cool.
Yeah.
So they can shoot them. But they don't let anybody else shoot them.
So where'd y'all get the fireworks from?
He brought them.
Oh,
He smuggled them across state lines.
that's like double felony.
I don't know if it's... You can have them, I think. I don't know.
Just not there.
But anyway, so he's shooting Roman
He
candles
should've
and
told
stuff
him
with the little
He
kids,
should have
right?
said, "Hey, it was a ghost."
Some of them ghosts from the mines came down.
came down and shit. I don't know.
He shot a few rockets, and then he started shooting artillery shots,
Oh, see, that's what got him.
you know?
Ringing through the.
But we stop at some point, because he had a bunch more. And at some point he stops. He goes, "Yeah, I think we should stop before the cops come." I don't, because
Too late.
He wasn't totally sure if you could or not. He thought he knew in the past at some point you could, but he wasn't. He was a little iffy on it. So we shot some, and he said, "You know, we should probably stop." And so we stop, and then like 15 minutes later, a cop knocks on the door. He's like, "Hey, you guys shooting fireworks? Was that you guys?"
Not anymore.
And so he had to.
Is it illegal? Nope. No
It
one
was
does.
it was funny because Rand's kids, they're small, and they just think that my dad's just this like rebel breaking the laws stuff, because he's always
It's always getting in the mess.
he's always just doing a little pushing the line on
That
what,
is
but it's
so
always
funny.
stuff like shooting fireworks or stuff
Right.
like that. He's not like, maybe we'll just rob a little bit of the bank. He's not doing that kind of stuff.
No, he's
just-
like making wakes in a no wake zone.
yeah, it's that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's that kind of stuff. And so they just think he's just an outlaw, right? And so the whole time
I'm gonna get your dad some leather.
I know. Can you imagine him? Some leather chaps and like he needs some tassels hanging off and stuff.
Hey, we need to get your dad on here. Do
Yeah,
what you
come
gotta
on.
do.
Come
Do
on,
it.
Pop. I'll bring him.
Do whatever you gotta do.
He's
Because,
in Colorado still right now, but
whenever he comes back, we need to get him in here because he's got a great story about him getting drunk.
oh yeah.
Have you ever heard that story?
I don't think he would ever tell me that story.
Oh man.
I don't think he would tell it on here.
Oh man. It's pretty good. You told me that story.
This is so great because my mom will hear this 3 months from now, and and then she'll bring it up and be.
Oh yeah. So yeah, I'm not. That's all I'm gonna say. We got to get in because your dad's got an interesting life. He don't.
Yeah.
He doesn't think so.
Yeah, of course.
But he's done a lot, you know,
He
and he's
has.
been in a lot of places, and
Yeah.
he's been a pilot, and school teacher. I mean, worship. I mean, just a lot. So I think,
He's been a lot of places.
yeah. So he's got a lot of stories. I have like nephews and nieces and stuff that's been through his program at school, and
Yeah.
they've heard all the stories. He tells them stories.
Oh yeah.
of different things.
Story
So,
time with Stacy.
Yeah.
That's what they call it.
yeah. So yeah, we got to get him in here. Got to get him here. All right. Well, let's jump right into Culture Corner. All right.
We'll have him freestyle.
That would be good. Tell me right. You don't have to do a 16, maybe an 8. Just a, half
He
a
can start
version.
with 4.
4.
Have him sing the hook.
Oh yeah. I mean, he's been known to write a song or two.
Yeah.
I don't know if he ever just kind of jumped over into the hip hop, sector of things.
No.
No, but yeah,
Yeah.
you might do something.
sing the hook.
Something.
Am I telling this story? Am I
Yeah,
telling
yeah,
it?
yeah, go ahead,
Okay,
yeah.
here it
It's got
is.
a ghost
Let's
in it?
pull it up. There's no ghost. I tell you what, you do have that ADD. Don't you? You get one thing in your head.
It is what it is, bro.
Here it is.
We've been doing this long enough. You should know.
I
now.
do know that. University janitor turns off lab.
I know he's seen
freezer.
ghosts before. Janitor's seen every ghost in every building. And there's not a story that a janitor hasn't seen a ghost.
Yeah.
Have you ever been in a school at night? All
yes.
the ghosts come out. All the ghosts come out.
I haven't seen a ghost, but I have been in the school.
You wasn't a janitor, though, was you?
That's true.
It's true.
Do they just expose themselves? At janitors?
I hope not.
Well, I just said that wrong. Here's the headline. University janitor turns off lab freezer to silence, quote, annoying alarms, causing $1 million of damage and destroying 25 years of research.
You gotta know better.
So the janitor's in there trying to janitor, and here's a beep,
You know-
beep, beep.
You
Says,
know,
"I'll help
it's
it
like,
out."
it's probably, psst, hey, janitor. It's probably a ghost driving him crazy, and he thought it was the fan going out on the refrigerator.
Well, that's actually literally what he thought. So there's a freezer in, let me get my mouse over here. Here we go.
See, I told you, it always goes back to the ghost.
So they're really vague about what they were actually studying. or
Yeah,
whatever.
you imagine that. They probably had human heads in there.
It didn't. Well, it was some kind of cells that were like old. So university has filed a lawsuit against a cleaning service after one of its employees destroyed over 20 years of research by turning off a freezer that was making annoying alarm sounds. So they kind of phrase it unfairly in this thing, but it sounds better on the headline. So apparently, also you read through here, and it's just kind of being like, yeah, you know, we had a bunch of stuff going on. And then it gets down here and it says, the suit also acknowledges that Harrington is a person with
Potentially
special needs.
groundbreaking work, bro. That's super important.
Yeah, so they talk it all up, but they don't say anything. And then they say, the suit acknowledges that Harrington is a person with special needs. Oh. So it's some person who's like autistic or something that's
He was
cleaning
just
the
like,
stuff.
the beep's got to go.
Yeah.
I don't care what. 25, 35, 10.
25. But yeah, so it's kind of unfair there. They're like, yeah, we know he's got special needs, but... But anyway, so they've got all these cells. Again, they're really vague, so it doesn't really tell. But it's high-level research, groundbreaking work. Whatever.
Cogwell Laboratory. Wonder what they do.
But they've got all these cells that are super old from, 20, 25 years ago, like it said. And they have to be kept at minus 80 degrees Celsius, which is minus 112 Fahrenheit. And so the alarm, it says down here, where is it? So the freezer is equipped with an alarm that would sound when its internal temperature increases to minus 78 degrees or decreases to minus 82 degrees, which is what happened, is what it says. The freezer's temperatures rose to minus 78 degrees. The alarm went off, and the people began taking action immediately to address the cause and protect all the cell structures and samples and research. So they schedule somebody to come out to fix the thing, right? But it says due to COVID-19 restrictions, it took it was months before they could come out. And so it says they put a sign on the freezer. It says, this freezer is beeping as it is under repair. Please do not move or unplug it. No cleaning required in this area. You can press the alarm test mute button for 5 seconds if you would like to mute the sound.
Nope, not good enough.
Not good enough, dude.
Nope.
It says 4 days before the repair technician could be sent out. So they almost made it. Harrington heard the alarms and worried that something had gone wrong with the freezer. In his deposition, Harrington said he looked at the electrical box and checked a guide for the breakers, believing that the breakers to the freezer had been turned off. So he goes and checks the breaker box, thinks it's off, and he flips the breakers. But the breakers were on, and so then he turns them off. Because he thinks he's turning them on.
Simple mistake.
It says he's got special needs.
Come on. Like, give him a break. They probably sued him for everything he had.
Yeah, he says, I knew how important the breakers were because his father works in plant utilities at another college. So he turned them back on to make sure he was helping to safeguard the equipment.
Exactly.
So
Unfortunately.
Unfortunately, though, he misread the breaker guide and actually switched the breakers to the off position.
Poor dude.
And,
He probably
turns
had
it off.
ADD.
I don't think that was the special needs.
No?
I think he's a little more special than you,
It's pretty special.
But anyway, so he turns it off, and it says they go in the next day, and the cooler, instead of being at minus 80, is at minus 25.6 degrees. And they tried to save it, but it was mostly unsalvageable for 20 years of research. So
you know what, man? The props to the university for hiring these guys. Because I'm
props because it seemed like they destroyed 20 years of research.
I think it's awesome when companies hire special needs, because a lot of times those guys get passed over.
Yeah.
But on stuff like that, you should if you know they're going to be working the area, just walk over there and do a little bit of training.
Well, so that's the lawsuit. I skipped over some of the paragraphs, but that's the lawsuit, that he wasn't properly trained.
Right.
And they had the notes and everything, and then it still happened.
Yeah.
So that's their lawsuit for $1 million. Groundbreaking.
So
research.
who's suing who?
The university is suing the cleaning service for not properly training the employee.
Oh, got it.
And causing damages up to $1 million in damage. That's my lawyer talk, by the way.
Probably need to get rid of whatever that is on the screen. Oh, it's not on the screen.
I took it off. I can't see
okay,
it.
Good.
What is? I'll scroll up.
Doesn't look too Christian.
No. In fact, I'll pull up the next thing here.
All right, well, let's go ahead and get into this song. We got a song for you. It's Holvey and Forrest Frank, Altar.
Let me get it over here. And
Altar.
Wash away my shame. Glory to the Father. You deserve the praise. Lead me to your altar. Wash away my shame. All I can say is holy. Can't get this off my lips. You love me with devotion. You don't kick me when I trip. Yeah, I need a sip from the river. Just wanna get what you giving. Give me unlimited vision and see through the counterfeit. I want the realest. Where he come from, you can't get that with a PJ. It's so full inside this house, I feel like DJ. I can't fight it, let your light come shine on me. Yeah, ain't no hiding, I'm confiding in your peace. Yeah. Hey, carrying buckets of shame. Father, I'm saying your name, but so far from it. Come see the blood in my veins. For me, he bleeding the same. Take this covenant, this is the greatest exchange. At his altar, there's a flame that burns your rubbish. Gave me a cup full of rain, he poured it over every stain until he coming. Glory to the Father. You deserve the praise. Lead me to your altar. Wash away my shame. Glory to the Father. You deserve the praise. Lead me to your altar. Wash away my shame. Yeah, I just turned a milli down to be home with my son. Y'all don't get it. I can't gain a thing if I've already won. Still don't get it. I was full back when my bank account was none. Cause my God the type to leave the 99 to get the one. This is life or death. I ain't making music just for fun. Glory to your name, Father. I pray that your kingdom come. And when Satan's on my heels, I pray it's Nike with the run. Make my heart beat more like Hezekiah. Say it and it's done. Breakthrough. Lord Jesus, I need breakthrough. I've been doing things that made the Father have to break you. Living in my shame like the potter didn't shape you. But I know even in the storm, the water didn't wake you. The water didn't wake you. And that cross couldn't break you. Yeah, the darkness couldn't take you. Oh, yeah. Glory to the Father. You deserve.
oh yeah.
How dare you have two white rappers in one song?
Oh my gosh. You don't like that?
Forrest Frank? Are you kidding me? That's another white dude? I'm just like, wait for the black rapper to come in. And then you trick me with two white rappers in one song. Not
into it.
Not into it.
You know. You need a little
not
more color
acceptable.
in your life? Okay.
Not acceptable.
All right.
Yeah, I do. I love black people, and I think they're they need to be in every rap song.
All right.
I'm not even playing.
What if it's an Eminem song and it's just him? Not
That's
okay?
fine. That's fine. But if you're gonna have a feature,
it better be a black guy.
it better at least be one black guy. I mean, they put the black guys in there to act like that's enough.
Is that what's going on?
It's exactly what they're trying to do. They're trying to make sure that they have, enough of culture in the song.
Yeah.
But no.
Okay. This guy used to run a label here, so he knows.
I don't know, but I'm just feeling like, I mean, Hovey's good. I like Hovey and everything, but
Okay, it's fine then.
no, it's not fine. I just feel like there should be more diversity in rap music.
I mean, we stopped on it. There's a black guy on the screen, right?
But that's the problem, though. He's not in the song. He's just acting.
He's worshiping God, dude.
I know.
He's at the altar.
It's just an actor, though.
All right.
How do you know that's real?
It's probably
They
not real.
rented some church.
I don't think any of this is real.
No, I don't think so either.
Yeah.
Is God even real in this whole song?
I don't know, man.
I'm getting canceled.
Yep.
Getting canceled.
You should. Cancel him, folks. Cancel.
Don't cancel me. Don't cancel me. I love people, man, and everybody knows that I love all people, and mostly black people.
I thought you liked Latino women most.
Women.
Yeah.
Women.
Oh, nice.
But I love the black culture. That's
Yeah.
that's where I land. You know, it's where I've always landed. I landed in the black culture ever since I was like.
Let's just put you on your own screen here and let you just
like
talk about how much you love.
7th grade,
Yep.
6th grade.
Uh-huh.
I mean, I fell in love with rap music and the black culture, and that's where I lived in the community, and I just like I was the whitest dude there. You know, I was the dude in the black community that couldn't even get a tan.
That's white.
That's white. Red hair.
Yeah, you were the ginger kid in the
Come on, bro. Everybody knew me. I was known as the crazy white boy.
Yeah, ooh. Nice.
I was a star football player. Not the star. Okay, let's just back up. Let's just back up a little bit. I was a star football player at a black school. And my dad, I would want to pull my socks up like everybody else because I wanted to be like everybody else, you know?
Yeah.
And my dad said, you got to keep your socks down. So that's how he could tell who I was on the football field because of the white legs. I was like, come on, Dad. You couldn't tell that I was the last one in line while we were running? The slowest one on the field?
Wait, what's the thing with the socks? Is
The
that a
socks-
thing that I don't know about?
No, you pull your socks up, you can't tell what color the legs are, right? But if you keep the socks down, he can tell I was the white legs
Ah, I get it.
because I was the only white dude.
Yeah.
So
You
That was
couldn't. You couldn't just tell him your number.
that's what I thought. Maybe he had dyslexia and thought I was 18 instead of 81.
Yeah, I'm 80.
You know, whatever, Dad. I'm both. You know,
I'm 18 and I'm 80.
maybe that's where I got my dyslexia from.
I tell you, man, you got to stick to 1 cup of coffee. I think that's
Yeah,
it for you.
that's it.
And a Diet Coke if you really need it.
0.
0. Oh, I thought you were a diet guy.
I was, but see, my family went Coke 0, right?
Okay.
So we were buying 2 different drinks, and it was just much easier if we just went.
Here's the question, because I really don't understand. Because there's the whole point of the Diet Coke or the Diet anything is they use an artificial sweetener.
Yeah, which
So
probably
it's-
gives you cancer.
Whatever. So there's no sugar. But Coke Zero is Coke Zero sugar.
Yeah, but it's Coke, so it tastes like a regular Coke.
I know they taste a little different, but what are we doing? Because Diet Coke already did that.
Yeah, but Diet Coke has like less sugar taste to it. Coke Zero tastes more like a regular Coke, but with no sugar.
So do they just use a different artificial sweetener? Call one Diet Coke and the other one Coke Zero?
Probably less of the sweetener.
Nah,
No.
no way. They're using a lot. they're using a lot.
I'm saying Coke Zero probably has less sweetener than Coke. Diet Coke probably has less sweetener than Coke Zero.
Okay.
I don't know. So it's just easier for me.
But you get what I'm saying, though? The
Yeah,
question,
yeah.
like, they're both artificial sweetener.
Yeah.
They're both zero
I
sugar.
think more people that wanted the Coke taste go to Coke Zero
Okay.
instead of the Diet taste.
Because Diet Coke doesn't taste like Coke at all.
Not at all.
It's totally different.
Not at all. Right. So instead of having 2 12-packs of a Diet Coke and a Coke Zero in the refrigerator, I just switched. That way that it's easier for the family and more room in the refrigerator.
You're a family man.
I'm more about efficiency. You know what I mean? Like efficiency is
So I wasn't quite lined up. So I was like,
get in there then. Make sure you get in there.
Man, I'm
We
good
want
now.
everybody to see you.
I'm good.
Tell them. Show them how good you are.
Hey, what did I do earlier? I don't remember.
Those eyebrows. I'm gonna have plenty of thumbnails.
Anyway, You can get all the thumbnails from this video
Yeah.
for the next 2
All
months.
of them.
Yeah.
I got something very interesting I want to talk about, and I think this is kind of leading our culture. A recent survey conducted by an online casino, PlayStars, never heard of them, had shed some light on some truth of some habits of different generations, okay?
Okay.
Revealing millennials. That's if you was born between 1981 and 1996.
Oh, that's me. 94. Hold it down. Wah, wah, wah.
Are the biggest liars.
Oh, that's not me, dude. That's not
Oh,
me.
man. In the workplace and on social media.
Okay. Okay, so millennials are 81 to 96.
81 through 96.
And then the next one's Z.
Z is 97 through 2021.
Okay, so millennials and Z. Pretty much.
And then X, which is me, 65 to 80. We tend to have more integrity.
What's
just letting you know.
Okay.
A little bit more integrity, you know.
Maybe. Maybe. I don't even need it. I'll just tell you I got it, apparently. I got all the integrity. So.
I mean, according to the casino paper here.
So it's a casino?
So they did a survey.
Because I don't think they got the most integrity and are necessarily the most
well,
honest.
it was just
with
a
everything.
it was a survey.
Okay.
It was a survey.
Yeah, we're taking casinos.
So it says the survey had almost 2,000 people in it.
Maybe.
And millennials were the worst offenders when it came to lying. At 13% of them admitted to being dishonest at least once a day.
Wow.
That is a lot. But this is what I don't understand. How do we know they're not lying?
And how do we know the other ones? They're saying, I'm never dishonest.
This is a bunch of liars. This whole thing is about lying, and we don't even know.
The casino's using the honor system here? Okay. Okay.
Gen Z seem to have more integrity, with only 5% of them saying that they lie at least once a day.
Okay.
Right? So millennials, nearly 1/3 of them have fabricated on their resumes at some point in their career.
Okay.
Have you ever done that?
I don't think so.
No.
Yeah, I don't think so.
Nearly 1/3 of them have fabricated their, and then also 2 out of 5 had confessed of lying to their bosses to avoid embarrassment in the workplace.
Nice.
So, and then social media platforms, they basically saying, like all of them are lying across their social media. And 20% of Gen Z responded admitting to lying on social media to impress others. So the survey reveals that 10% of men are more likely to lie on social media than women.
No way.
That's what this...
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
But
I guess it depends on what you consider lying.
Like gray areas or lying.
Like, is using a crazy filter with the crazy lighting and using the right pants that squeeze you just right and saying...
That all the women would be lying.
Yeah, is that lying?
I gotta admit, some of the filters make you come...
Take away some of your spots and stuff?
I mean, they clean you up a little bit.
And you look better as a kitty cat or what? You look better with a little rainbow on your face? Also, you could make the case, because I feel like I've heard a bunch of stats that say, like, most people lie, like numerous times a day. So you could make the case that the millennials are actually the most honest, because they're the ones saying that they lie the most.
I mean, you could.
You could.
Unless they're lying.
But I think, anyway, go ahead. Finish your stats here.
So 58% of the people, they lied to avoid, personal embarrassment is what it really comes down to, 58% of people. And I think that's one of those things that it really kind of is like carving out the current culture of today. Like, people can't handle failure in their life.
Yeah.
You know, and you see that in lying on the resumes. You see it lying about, you know, how great their life is on social media. You see that about their political views on social media rather than what you see them, you talk to them in their normal life or whatever.
Sure.
And I think that there's I don't know. What do you think? What do you think about why people can't stand on their own beliefs, on their own? Why they feel like they have to have a, you know, like a, you know, whatever it is, what it is,
I was gonna let you figure out the
something.
word.
Something out there that is really not them.
I think it's just all the whole keeping up with the Joneses thing.
Yeah.
You know, they see somebody else doing good. A lot of it comes from their own insecurities. You know, like, I'm okay if you're secure with whatever you're doing. I'm not so worried that so-and-so has more money than me or looks like they have a, I don't know, better car or whatever. Because I know that I'm on this path and I'm secure with this path. I know, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think it just all comes from insecurities and...
So where are these insecurities coming from? If the survey is true, why do we think that the current generation, the millennial generation, not the current, I guess the current adults that are coming up right now are so worried about what the other people are doing in their neighborhood? And I see this. I mean, I see, right, you know, just because of the business I am, I get to go to people's backyards and I get to see their stuff, and it's the 25 to 35-year-olds right now, plant workers that are maxed out.
Yeah.
You know, and they got the boat and the trucks and the cars and all the greatest pool. And, you know, I mean, of course, you know, they're probably making $150,000 a year, but, you know, they're maxed out on their credit.
They're living a $400,000 a year life.
And why do we think that we have to do that?
I think a lot of that comes from, okay, so who are their parents? Because most people, in some way, to some degree, are trying to please their parents, right?
Yeah.
And the stuff that their parents value, get a good job, get a good house, you know.
Yeah, there's a lot of pressure from the family.
So I think a lot of those people are just trying to get some job so you can tell mommy and daddy, look, I'm doing it, everything's good.
Yeah.
You can love me and be proud of me. I'm not my friend so-and-so that dropped out of college and did whatever.
Right. That's
I
good. That's a
think
good
you get
point.
a lot of that. Because you get, like, if you have, like, some more liberal hippie parents, they don't have near as much pressure on their kids to get a good job and, you know, all that kind of typical stuff you think of. They're, you know, go be happy. They're almost, like, happy if their kid is kind of broke but living some artistic lifestyle.
Right.
You know what I mean? I think a lot of it comes from the parents and the pressures, whether it's just perceived pressures or actual the parents putting it on them. I think a lot of it's that.
Yeah. I was talking to this lady the other day, and she was telling me about all the different, like, community events that she was on staff for or whatever.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, man, all you're worried about is, like, people knowing who you are and what you do and all those different things. And it's like, life has to be, like, so exhausting for you because you're worried about being on whatever committee that you need to be on so people see who you are in life.
Yeah, sure.
And I don't know where we're going to come out on the other end. Like, where is this going to, like, what's the dead end look like? You know what I mean? Where is the culture going to crash and burn? Because you can't continue to live up to that, you know? Or are you going to get to a place where the government's going to have to take over to tell you what you have to do and what you can do because we found out that we can't do it on our own, you know? And I think that I don't want
to started on the government.
I know, and I don't want to go there because, you know, we tried to really keep that out of here, and I'm not smart enough to know all these different things, anyways. But I think that
Let's get you in the camera here. Go ahead.
Oh,
Yeah.
James,
Say your stuff.
I don't want to go there. I want this to be able to us to go back and forth, and I don't want. when we talk about capitalism and
Yeah.
socialism
Tell me about
and stuff, I'm not gonna go.
Tell me about it.
I think that it's in the best interest of different people for us not to be able to handle our own affairs, you know. And when we're in that place, people of power are gonna swoop in and like, okay, you can't handle it yourself, you know.
I'll take care of it for you. Don't
I'll
worry
take
about
care
it.
of it for you, and that's why we have, you know, there's so many welfare programs and different things like that because, you know, if you can't live your life without me giving you handouts, you know, there's power in that, right? Not only is there power for me, like, oh yeah, I have to like support James every month, but there's also power in it where like James can't do it without me. You know, he has to have what I want, and then, you know, it's like the cartel in Mexico. You know, they go into these little villages and communities and they're paying for everybody's weddings and they're building roads for them. And then when the government comes in, they're like, hey, man, we need to know, has that cartel guy came through here?
Yeah.
And they're like, oh, no, who are you talking about?
Yeah.
You know? Well, we know he's been through here. Look at the roads. Look at, I mean, this village is nicer than the biggest cities in Mexico. So you kind of have that whole thing where now you have my vote because I give you the handouts, right?
Sure.
Man, this is getting way too political.
I love it, man.
But I don't even know how I was tying that into what
I don't know.
this
I'd
is.
love to see you do it though.
You're leaving me out on this.
I know. I'm
this
sorry.
island.
But you know, the millennials are liars.
Yeah. I just wonder, like, at some point, like, where these guys have put themselves out there where they feel like they can't be who they really are.
Sure.
You know, and biblically, we have to look at ourselves through the lens of who God sees us as, not who the world sees us as. But if we're constantly looking at us through the lens of the world, then we're never going to have that self
Self-worth.
self-worth of who we really are. You know, the Bible talks about we're fighting this unseen battle. It's not, I think it talks about it in 2 Corinthians. It's not about the things that we're fighting here on earth. It's about the spiritual battles that we're fighting. And we don't recognize so many times that it is spiritual. We're just fighting battles a lot of times, and we're just trying to stay on top, and we're trying to do the best that we can do, and we're still being knocked down. And what we don't realize at the end of the day, like, the enemy's trying to keep you from being someone that excels in life through the blessings of God, right? All we see is we're failures. We're not living up to whatever standard it is in life, you know, whatever the Joneses are doing or whatever because when you're little, your parents tell you you're going to be great at whatever you're going to do, you know, and then you get to that point in life where you're like, I'm not great at anything, you know. I mean, I'm good at video games, you know what I mean, or whatever, and you know. And I think it's good to encourage. Like, my kids love playing video games, and they'll come and talk to me about, hey, you know, Dad, about this and this about video games. I'm just like, you know, but you want to encourage them because that's what they enjoy. But at the same time, it's just a video game, you know. How is that really going to help you excel in life, you know?
I mean, me and my siblings, some of our best bonding times was from playing video games together, trying to beat that level together, trying to beat that boss together, or whatever. That would be some of the times we'd actually spend the most time together, working together, and all that.
You know, and Luke and his friends are the same way. You know, they hang out on video games, they hang out on the computer, even when they're not playing video games. And I guess it's no different than it was when I was on the phone.
Yeah.
talking to my buddies or whatever. And I guess I didn't do that a whole lot unless she was fun. You know what I mean?
Oh, your buddies.
Well, you know, I'm not my buddies, but they have these like social chat rooms and stuff that they hang out in and stuff like that. So, I mean, I guess some of that technology is cool for them to be able to do that, but I think that self-worth comes from failure sometimes.
Sure.
And then if you don't allow yourself to fail, if you don't allow yourself to be able to be wrong and you know, they always say, you know, learn from your mistakes, you know, but if you're not allowing yourself to admit to a mistake, you lied to your boss, you lied to your parents, you lied to your pastor, and not admitting to some of those mistakes in your life, then you're not learning from them because you're allowing the lie to be the truth of your life. Mm-hmm. And then before you know it, you're finding yourself living a lie and not even recognizing who you really are because you're trying to live through not being a failure. Yeah. Instead of letting failures, you know, help you grow to be the person you are. My biggest failures have becoming, you know, platforms for my biggest growth. You know, when I was locked up, I had time to sit down and study the Bible. I had time for reflection. I had time to, you know, put weight on from a hard life of partying too hard and allowing my body to heal and my mind and spirit, all those things. So being able to rebound from stuff like that, if we have people, especially parents, even parents in our lives are like not letting kids, you know, you go to school and they're getting in trouble. Not my kid. No. Yeah, your kid. Yeah. You know, he's in trouble. Well, no, it's y'all's fault. Mm-hmm. Well, like at some point in your life, we have to be able to stand behind everything that we do, good, bad, and ugly. And we have to be able to self-reflect. Like that's one of the biggest things that I think that has really helped me grow is self-reflection. You know, and if I haven't looked into my life, I mean, every time Sandra and I get in the argument, you know, I'm just like, okay, even when I think that I'm right, or even when I know that I'm right, like, what can I learn from those things? You know, and I go back and I look at it and I'll come to her and I'll just like, you know, I stand by what I said, but I think I could have said it better, you know, because even if you're right and you communicate it wrong, you don't always get it right. Yeah,
and sometimes you're wrong.
Yeah, and sometimes you are wrong, and that's one of those things that if you don't self-reflect and you're like, okay, like where is the other side in this? If you never look at the other side, then how do you know that you're going to be wrong or right? Yeah, right. And that's one of the things that I'll go to her and I'm just like, man, I was totally wrong on this, you know, or I could have explained it better, or I couldn't have got heated as fast, because I was really passionate about that. And I think that when you have passionate people, or you're passionate about something, you really have to be careful because you allow your emotions and your passions to drive you, which is really good because it helps creativity, it helps focus and all those things, but it puts you in a place where nobody can tell you anything also. Yeah. And so we have to allow room for mentorship in our life, and then once passion and drive and some of those things fill the whole thing, you don't allow for correction and different things that in your life to be able to help you in those areas. You know, if you're a guitar player, sometimes you need a teacher. But if you're just like, no, I'm the best already, and you know you're still playing the 3 chords you've always played. Yeah. You know, maybe you can have some room for correction or teaching and different things in your life. So, and I think that's what, you know, when we get caught up in deception, you know, it allows areas in our life for the enemy to come in and continue to use deception. And I think that we're seeing that in our young people. Just this past school year, we had this young girl in junior high that she was having a hard time in school. She was having a hard time with her studies. She was having a hard time with other people, bullies and different things like that. And she felt like that she didn't fit in. She felt like that she was in a place where nobody loved her. And before you know it, she went home after school and took her life, And I think that when we get into those places in life where we don't allow people in, that it only allows that the enemy to be able to speak to us, and the deception to come into our lives, and the deception to really ruin the things that God has, set up for us. And you talk to people, and God has set a plan for us in our life, a perfect plan. And then we're the only ones that ruin that, right?
Yeah.
He set this plan up, and the decisions that we make, we might take the detours, I had to preach this message one time, and I know it's kind of off the subject. It was called, I was riding down the Beltway, and it said, last free exit. So if you don't take this at this exit, the next one's going to cost you something.
You got to pay.
Right?
Oh, that's a good message. I like
so either you do what God has called you to do, and you take the exits when you're supposed to take the exits, or you stay on the highway when you're supposed to stay on the highway. If you don't, it's going to cost you something.
Yeah.
And we got to make sure that we're not spending the bucks that we were supposed to be saving, in our life, or monies, real monies, whatever it may be, because God has given us stuff in our life that we need to hold on to, so we know, so we have the wisdom and the understanding to navigate this world that has so many shiny things and bright things and stuff that attracts us. It's like the lure in the water for the fish. It's got something that's attracting the fish, and before you know it, we're on the hook for something that we shouldn't be on the hook for, right? Because God has given us, He's given us everything that we need, but we're attracted by the shiny stuff. Before you know it, we're hooked up, and we're not in control of our lives anymore, and we're being pulled along and pushed along, and in chains and different things like that. So I think that it's important that we stay true to ourselves more than anything, and I think that we have to hear what our parents are saying, but there's stuff that just talking about your dad earlier, like your dad, he felt like he wanted to be a choir teacher, but your grandfather had a different, your grandfather wanted him to be
an engineer,
and then he went on that path for a while. Then he decided, man, like, this is not me. This is my father's desire for him, and we want our kids to do what we think is good. We think, okay, an engineer degree is good, and it might make a bunch of money and might have all those, but if you're miserable through it, then what is it to have a bunch of money and be miserable? Like, that's not good either, So we really have to balance out, like, who we are, and as parents, like, let's not live your dreams to your kids. Like, let's raise young people and young kids, and give them knowledge and understanding. That's why, just like last night, Sandra was saying, just like, you always want the kids to go with us, or somehow the conversation. I want my kids to see more than their neighborhood. Right? So if we go to the Dominican, I want to bring my kids so they can see that. If I go to Africa, I want to bring my kids so they know, like, different parts of the world and what other people are living in, and more than just the neighborhood of what them and their friends. My kids are very blessed to be able to be raised, well, especially Luke and Noah, to be blessed to be raised by us now, And I was just thinking the other day when we're leaving, like, Luke's friends pull in, he's like driving a Lexus and stuff. Like, that's not the real world everywhere. Yeah. I'm like, where's the struggle in your life? You know what I'm saying? Struggle for Luke is like he broke his elbow at church camp. That's not real life struggle. And so if you're not getting that type of struggle at home, we need to show them what struggle looks like. You need to take them. So I'm gonna take you where I grew up and just drop you off at night, and hopefully you get home, and and just like we have to find reality.
These are the pages from David's parenting.
I mean, maybe that's fine.
I don't care that your elbow's broken. That ain't real. Let me take you to the hood, son, and show you about pain.
My mom gets so mad when I tell her, I talk about the hood, growing up in the hood. That's not the hood. Yeah. That's the best I can do.
Yeah, you know how hard I worked to get that house? You know how hard it was to get that house in the hood?
She gets so upset.
I bet she does.
But, I mean, living through realities. We have to be able to live through reality.
Yeah.
And we have these reality television, and there's nothing true about it. There's nothing, growing up, being in, the street culture and stuff like that, we got to be 100, we got to be truthful and true to ourselves. And really, everything that we was being 100 about was fake.
Yeah.
And that's how the enemy lies to us. We're trying so hard to be so real about the stuff that doesn't mean anything, that is so not real.
Yeah.
And we get up in this tower of trying to live a lifestyle through somebody else's life, like street gangs. What is it really about these days? Like, there's really nothing about street gangs that should. Like, this happened because street gangs happen because, like, we're protecting our neighborhoods from outside sources that really are trying to hurt our kids and different things like that. Black Panthers and stuff like that set up these things to protect their neighborhoods. But somehow it came into, like, now we're going to have, like, territory wars over drugs, but we're going to be real with one another. And now we got street gangs that don't even know why they're fighting each other, because they wear red and they wear blue. But now, for a couple generations, that's all we know is why we're fighting each other, rather than remembering back to when we were doing it to protect our neighborhood and protect our kids and being a good thing. Now here we are, generations so far away from it that all we know is, like, that color over there killed my cousin, And it's just generations of being lied to and deceitful whispers in our ear from the enemy. And now we have cultures of kids killing kids and all of these things and generations of kids wearing black just because they want to be depressed. Mm-hmm. Like, why do you want to be depressed? Because it's the cool thing to do, right? I don't fit in, so why don't I'll just be depressed about it, And then you have the whole culture of those people trying to do those things. So I don't know. I just know that when we begin to lie to ourselves and not truthful to ourselves, it's just like anything. I remember telling this story. I'm not going to tell it because I don't want people to hold me accountable for it. But I used to tell a story, and the story where I told it, where the story ended up, was so way off from the way the story really happened.
Oh, yeah.
But
I know about that.
But when I told the story to my homeboy, I wanted it to sound
one
way cooler than when it happened, because I wanted to have the street cred. And then when I'm just going to admit to this, man. And I told it in the church. Well, I wanted it to sound way cooler than it was in my testimony. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then before you know it, this story is so far from the way it originally happened, but over life that happens into our life. And then we tell stories and the other day Noah's getting real into fishing, and he's like going to fishing, and then, he's telling me these stories about these big catfish and stuff that he's catching. And I'm like, oh man, that's awesome. And then I go over to my dad, and he was just like, yeah, we caught a bunch of little catfish. You know what I'm saying? A bunch of little catfish. But to know they're just like, they were this big, and every time he's telling the story, like, They keep getting bigger. I mean, like, would y'all go shark fishing? No, they were just catfish. I'm like, catfish don't get that big.
Not in this pond.
But it's just that, once you tell a lie, it's easier to tell the next lie.
Yeah.
And then the lie becomes reality. And that's where my story was.
Yeah.
Because my story was reality to me at that point, because I told the story and they kept getting bigger and bigger. Well, when I was telling the story, I was telling the story off of the last story.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
You pushed that story a little bit.
A little bit, and a little bit, and a little bit, until now, if you go back to the original story, it's way off.
Yeah.
It's like if you head to North Pole from right here, right, and you're 1 degree off, and you're headed towards the North Pole, 1 degree. Time you get to the North Pole, you're going to be hundreds of miles.
You're not getting to the North Pole.
Yeah, you're going to be hundreds of miles away.
Uh-huh.
And I think that we have to be able to recalibrate our lives, recalibrate the things that we say about ourselves, recalibrate the people that we're hanging out with, recalibrate our relationships with people and our relationships with God, and recalibrate what's true in life. Like, are we, especially when we talk about God, are we just talking about what the preacher said, or are we talking about what was truth when you read the Bible? You know what I mean? Because at the end of the day, preachers are just preachers. We're not coming up with anything new. Yeah. We're trying to come up with a new way to present it to you. But at the end of the day, man, you have to find your own truth. And that's when you find your own truth, that's like calibrating your truth, what God has given you to be truth in your life. Because if I tell you, go read, 1 Corinthians 2:17, I'm going to read it one way, but you might come out with something totally different because of what you're going through in your life and what it means to you in your life and what God is revealing to you. And I think that when we look at our lives through lies and deception and those type of things, the truth of God, it seems something different because you're seeing yourself as one way instead of the way that God sees you. So I don't know. It just really when I read this story, it broke my heart because that we have these young people that are really you guys, that y'all are our current leaders, and y'all are the ones that are stepping up in leadership positions. If it's if it's in church or if it's in, I see Micah, he stepped up and he's heading up the announcements or whatever it may be. You guys are the ones that are going to be leading the church. You guys are going to be the ones that's going to be leading your community. Hopefully, we'll have some people in the church that'll step up and lead politics. But if you don't feel good about who you are, and if you can't tell the truth to yourself, much less to whoever you're talking to. I remember when I was in the secular world, and this was the biggest thing that I can remember. Now that I look back, I can see that like God was preparing me for running my own business, even to the point I don't know if I told it on this podcast or not. Right before I left, maybe 12, 15 months or something like that before I left, we got a new controller. And then the controller at a company is the one that runs the finances. He's the head guy. Yeah. And we got a new one. And I mean, this dude was brilliant. And we had a couple crappy ones before that. And but we had this guy, his name was Core. And he came in and he was just like, I'm not a finance guy by no means, but I worked in inventory, and inventory just happened to follow under finance because that is the biggest,
That's where you're spending all the money.
That's where we have our biggest capital investments. So we're there, and Core's working with me, and he would just like, he comes to me maybe like 5 or 6 months after he gets there. He goes, "I need you to understand finances more than you do." Perfect. That's perfect. So we go in his office, and then on his whiteboard, he says, "David's future business." Never even thought I would own my own business, right? So, and then we go through, we spend 30, 45 minutes a day of running through transactions in and out of my finances and my future business. Right. And I'm just like, so I'm going in there and I'm just like, okay, you know, I see how that works at this current company. Okay. Oh, now I get what you're trying to tell me over here, that we really need to watch this because the way it affects, you know, this T-chart, the ins and outs and all this stuff. And I'm just like, okay. But then 6 months later, we have this thing that goes down. We have this, what do they call it? A hostile takeover in our company.
Business.
So our company was ran by father and son, and they were minority owners, but they ran the company.
Okay.
The way the structure was set up is they actually ran the company. So when they found out the father and son were kind of doing some stuff under the table and kind of messing with the books and different things, the majority silent partners came in and did a hostile takeover, which it was just like the movies. I'm working at my desk, and I'll just tell you this for fun. I'm working at my desk, and one of the owners that me and him we were cool. He wasn't in on the other stuff. He was like, hey man, I need a favor, right? So he said, follow me. So we go into the boardroom, which was not a big deal. We have bunches of meetings. I walk in there. There's like all of these like strangers and 5 cops. And I walk in, I'm just thinking to myself, like all the things that I've ever done.
Yeah.
You know, or like spinning in my head, like it's finally caught up to me. You know, and I know I turned white because the one guy, he was the majority owner, silent partner. He owned like 40-something% of the company himself. He goes, everything is okay. You haven't done anything wrong.
Yeah.
Well, they called a meeting to their office. Well, the father and son went to the office. While they're at the office, they bring these cops in and do a hostile takeover of the company. And they wanted me to walk the police officers to every entrance so they couldn't come back in, right? So this was like some crazy like stuff like you would only see in movies, you know? Yeah. And so all of that went down. Well, when that goes down, like I'm like, man, this is not a place that I want to work.
Yeah.
We were rejoicing at the time. Like these guys are coming in, they're putting like in the snack, they're putting snacks in and free food and drinks and hiring fajitas on the weekends and whatever. So this thing goes to trial, and the father and son, because the way the contract was written, they got the company back. So I was just like, man, forget this. Like, I'm not working with these guys no more.
Yeah, it doesn't sound fun.
And then about that time, the opportunity to come to buy the company. And here we go. Core's like David's future company.
Yeah.
Not even tied it together until 6 months ago. 6 months ago, I was talking to my dad, and I said, Dad, you know what? I never even realized, but 6 months before everything went down, I almost said the name. 6 months before everything went down in my old job, Core was teaching me about David's future company. Why am I even telling the story?
I don't remember, but it's a good story.
And so God has everything in control.
Yeah, there we
You know what I'm saying? God knows exactly. But if I would have lied to myself, if I would have, really focused in on what the enemy was telling me, because the enemy was telling me the whole time, you never went to college. You never had these things. You'll never be anything. Like that's how I grew up. You had ADHD. You have dyslexia. Like you're never going to be any good. And if I would have listened to that stuff, and I did for a long time. I did for a long time. Even to when your grandfather ordained me to be a pastor. I told this story many times where the night before, I found myself in my son's room when he was just a baby, and I'm just surrounded by baby stuff and cribs and stuff, bawling my eyes out, just like a baby. I'm not worthy enough. I don't know my word enough. I don't know all these different things, because the enemy had lied to me so much about all of my failures, all of my shortcomings in life, that I couldn't see everything that God was trying to show me, and everything he was trying to take my shortcomings, because you know, that when they said when you can't smell, you see better, or when you can't see, you hear better, all those things. And that's exactly what God was doing, because I had all these shortcomings over here. I excelled so much in all these other areas that promoted me to be able to run my own company. And now I know where the story was going. But God had to show me so many times when I was faced with having to tell the truth or lie back in those days, right? And there have been many times for me to get away from things, to not be, disciplined on mistakes that I made, to tell lies. But I told the truth because of who I was in Christ, right? God showed me that He was waiting for me to be able to do that on the ease, because when I own my own company, there's nobody to correct me.
Yeah.
Now either I can tell the truth or I can't.
You got to hold yourself accountable.
I have to hold myself accountable. But He was teaching me that then, so now it's easy for me to say, yeah, Mr. or Mrs. Customer, I'm sorry. We did make that mistake, and we did fail you there, but here's what we're going to do to make it right. So God teaches us those things, and He was teaching me those things. And I didn't even know it in those areas, but I was being faithful to Him and making sure I was being faithful to, God's word and my, who I was. I remember this one time where we were fasting. We do our yearly fast here, and we went to all these big dogs, because where I was, all these like presidents for these like Fortune 500 companies and oil companies would come down. We would have these meetings and stuff. And here I am, again, thinking, what am I even doing here? I'm just some...
Shouldn't be in this room. This ain't the room for me.
This is not the room for me.
Yeah.
I'm like the dude from the street that never went to college, and I hear these guys that are all around me, and they're traveling the world doing this stuff. And so they're like, okay, we want to take you to lunch, and it was a group of us, and I was just like, I'm on this fast. Like, I'm going to bow out, because, the Bible says, put your nice clothes on and don't look like you're fasting or whatever, and don't boast about it or whatever.
Yeah.
And the Lord was just like, go. And I'm just like, this doesn't align up. I don't want to have to tell Him that I'm fasting, and, because I can't order anything. I'm just with water,
Yeah.
And the Lord, I just really felt like the Lord said, go. And so I'm just like, okay, so I'll go. And when I went, I ordered water, and it came around to me, and I was just like, no, I'm sorry. No, go ahead, we got this, And I knew it, because these are the best meals you get, when the president of a Fortune 500 company comes down, you like order, the whole menu.
You get the steak, the lobster, you get it
all.
all.
And so there was a guy that was sitting next to me, and he was from Shell, big wig in Shell, and then I just thought I was going to pass, and I'm not eating right now, and so they went ahead, and everybody's kind of looking at me weird. And so this guy was next to me. He was like, "What's going on? You going through?" I said, "I'm just fasting right now." And he was just like, "Oh yeah, I remember when I was having some health issues or whatever. I had to fast too." And he said, "Do you have any health issues?" And I was just like, "No, not really." And the Lord was just like, "It's your time. No witness to this guy."
Yeah.
And the guy was just, he was just telling me, like, man, thank you so much for, just standing up before you believe, because so many times I have these insecurities in my life of letting people know that I'm Christian. And for you to stand up in front of this crowd and, hold on to your faith means a whole lot to me. And then now it gave this guy, some ability maybe to encourage him the next time to be able to stand up for who God is in his life. And and to be credible for the things that he said. Anyways, I just thought it was interesting about, and we see it in the culture today that people can't be who they really are.
Yeah.
Just because, and if you go to any high school, 90% of them all look the same. No matter what color skin they are, they're wearing the same clothes, the same shoes, they got the same haircut. They all look the same because they don't want to be a standout. They don't want to look different. And man, my little Noah, he struggles with it, man. He we'll buy him some shoes, And then he'll go to school the first day, and then he don't have the shoes that they have, and he was just like, I don't want these shoes no more. I want these shoes, and he's got to be, the kids in the neighborhood they just wear like Crocs and shorts, so that's how he wants to go outside in Crocs and shorts. I'm just like, Bubba, you can't continue to do this. Like, you're not going to be happy with your life if you're always waiting to see what everybody else is doing. Be a leader, and that's what I encourage people, no matter what I was doing in life. And I know it's probably just my nature is I'm normally the loudest guy in the room. He's trying to hold court and tell stories and all those things. But that's one thing that really helped me was, man, be who you are. Even when I had all these insecurities, and that the loudness and all that was probably trying to cover up some of those things too. But I was just trying to be me, and then probably I was trying to, magnify some of those things, some of those qualities, so you wouldn't see other qualities in my life. But but just try to be who God has called you to be, and be truthful for yourself. Be truthful for the ones around you, because people around us need to know who you really are, so they can lean on you, so you can lean on them in those times of needs and stuff. So I just thought it was interesting, and I also wanted to pick on millennials too. But when you're talking,
I'm still sticking by the millennials are the most honest right there. I'm sticking by that
mean,
one.
you got you.
I think that's a good.
I mean, if we were in court, I mean, you would have something to stand on right there.
I think so. I feel like I've definitely heard whatever random studies cited that say that everybody lies like a crazy amount throughout the day.
And you're probably right.
Yeah.
Because when I found myself when before I was a Christian, that I would just lie about stupid stuff. Just
I'm
so I
Google
didn't
it right now. Let's see what it says.
Just so you don't have to, so you make you look better. And I remember when I was in elementary, we were all poor. There was not a nice part of our town. You know what I mean? And I had everybody convinced when I was in like third grade that I was rich for no reason.
Liar.
And they knew, like, if we wasn't in third grade, they would know. I lived in the same community you live. I lived next door. I wasn't rich, but I had them like, thinking, oh, David's rich, man. He had the nice pair of shoes and this and that, and I lied to him about how much my shoes cost.
Yeah. So the first thing that popped up says, how often does the average person lie? It says some researchers estimate that the average person tell around 1 to 2 lies per day. However, other studies have found much higher numbers. Some suggest people tell closer to 10 to 15 lies per day. And
I think
how can you do a study on lying?
I think
How do you know?
I think this is the environment, because if you get a bunch of guys in a room, there's going to be a bunch of lying going on.
Well, you get a bunch of girls that do the same thing.
Yeah, the girls, if so, and then if you get guys and girls, the girls are going to lie to the guys, and the guys are going to lie to the girls.
The guys lying to the girls.
Oh, for sure.
Dude,
anyway.
I had actually, it doesn't even matter.
Go ahead.
I was trying to remember the thing exactly. Actually, I don't remember the details of the story, so I'm not going to do it. But yeah, no, I don't know. I think all that stuff you brought up there, I think it's just all from insecurities, not knowing who you are. Of course, you find your value and all that in Christ. I think nothing's new. All this stuff is the same stuff that's been going on. Everybody's been comparing themselves to others. Yeah. Always wanted the nicer whatever for forever. People blame it on social media these days, and sure, that has an effect. But, it's just that's what this generation's dealing with. The generation before had something different that they were using to compare themselves with, and the next generation will have something else. Nothing's new. It's all the same stuff. Yeah. It's just a different day and age. We're not riding on horses anymore. We're in cars, but we still gotta. Yeah,
I was thinking that social media only made the world smaller, right?
Yeah.
So
it made it bigger and smaller.
Right. So if you think like back in the day, the South, they're still behind this and blah blah blah, because like so fashion, let's just take fashion for instance. Sure. Fashion would come from like France. They're always ahead on fashion and things like that. So then that went to New York, right? And so that filtered through New York and the Midwest and the California. Yeah. And we were always the last ones to get it, us down here on the South.
On the South.
Our culture is different, first off, because, we're riding horses and all those things. But they would always say, we're the last ones to get it because it took time to filter down. We didn't have internet and social media to let us know what they were doing in all these other areas.
Yeah.
So it just kind of made the world a little bit smaller and sped time up for people that, that normally would get information last.
But it made it bigger too, because now instead of if you're talking about like all the insecurities, comparing yourself to others, instead of you comparing yourself to the 20 people in your school classroom, now you're comparing them to everybody that you see online.
Yeah.
And
just the other day, man, I was checking in on just different like towns and stuff, and I was just on the internet, just like zooming in, like
you can do that.
It's crazy how you can.
Yeah.
Anyways, that's all we got, man. Be true to yourself. Be true to God. Be true to others.
Believe the truth, not the lie.
That's right.
There it is.
And we love you.
This is the Refuge Project.